Yeah, welcome to Keycloak of Code. Today is all about translations, and I'm happy to have you all here in our stream. Thanks a lot for that. So let's see, who else do we got? So I have a partner in crime today. My partner in crime today is Sebastian. Welcome to Sebastian.
Hi, everyone.
Yeah, great to have you here again. You've been on the call for writing extensions, writing tests, contributing to Keycloak. Great to have you back here for this episode.
Thank you. Great to be here. And great to have this awesome Keycloak 26.2 release on Friday, right? To have some, maybe do some, how it's called, marketing.
Yeah, marketing is always good. So we had Keycloak 26.2 out on a Friday. I'm not sure who will actually install it on the Friday already, but at least as an open source project, you can publish such a release on a Friday and have people tinker with it over the weekend, which is nice, I think. It was a big feature release. And some of the translations also made it into Keycloak 26.2, the translations I will talk about today. All right. Let's dive in. So far we have only a couple of views online. I have only very few slides, so we will probably soon dive into questions, and I'm looking forward to all your questions. You can place them in the chat. That would be the easiest one. We can also share a link if people want to join us on stage later on. That's then the choice that you can make. I might already share the link already now. Let's see. All right. How will I do this? Copy link. That's probably copy link. I place this in our chat, and then people will see it hopefully soon in the chat online as well. Good. All right. Let's get started. Do you want to stay on screen, Sebastian, when I show the slides, or want to?
Maybe let's put me in the background. So during the slides, it's
okay. Yeah, then I will do some slides here now. Put you in the background, and let's see. Maybe I can make this myself a bit bigger because I don't have so much text on the slides anyway. Let's get started. Yeah, introduction slides, and then hopefully lots of time for questions and some live demos of Weblate. So translating Keycloak is a collaborative effort, as I put in the title. And well, I'm Alexander Schwartz, or just Alex. I'm a principal software engineer at Red Hat, working full-time on Keycloak upstream project. So you might meet me on GitHub issues, on a mailing list, or maybe at a meetup or conference near you. This is Keycloak Hour of Code, where it's all about coding and contributing code and contributing stuff to Keycloak. Actually, today we have a meetup, or this meetup now is in the America and EMEA time zone slot. So I'd be curious who's joining, where you're joining from. So if you're joining us from the Americas or from Europe, Middle East, and Asia, there will be another event covering the same content in the APAC time zone, Asia Pacific time zone. So I'm very curious where people join us from. So please put in a comment in the chat where you join us from, so we can maybe adjust the time zone accordingly. What's the most comfortable time for you? So we've been into translations, and the idea is, well, Keycloak has a lot of translations, and translations make it a great fit to work not only in English-speaking countries, but in countries all over the world. And we want to make these translations shine. At the moment, they're unfortunately sometimes incomplete, sometimes also outdated, and our goal is now to bring it a bit forward. Try out different approaches, how can we make this experience better. And we want to make life simpler for translators. Translators are the ones who contribute translations. So giving them the right tools at their hand to do their job effectively. We want to also have less day-to-day work for maintainers. So the maintainers are then reviewing all the pull requests that go into the Keycloak main branch, as you might know. And those, yeah, they don't speak all the languages that there are. Also not all the languages that Keycloak has been translated to. So this is why we then say, the translators should own their translations, but not necessarily the Keycloak maintainers, which more or less might only do some guidance or around it. And, well, if we have translations, we also want to know how good they are. We want to know their status, how complete they are, maybe what they're missing, if they're open questions. Also, we're looking at the tool to make things simpler for us. So what we came up with is Weblate. Weblate is an open source software, similar open source than Keycloak is as well. And it's available as a hosted service, so we're going for a hosted Weblate here. And when you would go there, you see some maybe familiar, maybe not so familiar components here. So it's the account UI where people log in. You see the admin UI where people do the administration of Keycloak. Then there are some base elements here. Base account, base admin, and base login are the backend messages, maybe backend error messages that are created. Base theme email are the emails that are sent out. And then we also, that's something new, we added to Weblate a glossary that helps translators to get the right translations for common terms all across Keycloak UIs. All these bits and pieces will need to be translated eventually. Maybe some people don't share the admin UI with other people that are, or only shared with admins that know English, but maybe the account UI needs to be translated. But I'd say most often people use at least a translated login, and all the error messages and text that come with it that need to be translated. And now, over the last month, we onboarded several languages, and after I published this one blog post about translating Keycloak, we added a bit more languages here. So we have German, English as the source language, we have Catalan, we have Dutch, French, Georgian, Italian, Japanese, Portuguese in its Brazil flavor, Romanian, Slovenian, and Spanish on it. And which is great to see, but there are even a lot more languages that we don't have yet in Weblate. But that's a start, I'd say. So, why are we using Weblate in the first place? Before I dive into the demo, translators don't need to know about GitHub and pull requests when they're using Weblate. You see the English text, you can translate it to your own language. You have some tools available that help you to format the text in a nice way. And then you have also notifications when some texts have changed in the original English text that you can update your local language. And we provide you some statistics on maybe some missing strings that need to, that you want to maybe translate next when you're a translator. And the translation process, well, we have three roles here. We have the community that registers in Weblate. They accept some contribution guidelines, similar like you would do on GitHub as well. And then you translate via Weblate. You have a web-based form that you will see in a minute, and update it like tag or string by string. And the Keycloak maintainers then review it. We have some automated tests here. We then check the translation using Google Translate, so it's more or less in the right direction here, and then merge it to the main branch. And the language maintainers then review the translations in a bit more detail. They have the language knowledge. They know how things should be translated for the language, and they mark them then as approved. There's a translations markdown file in the main repository. I should probably put that in the chat later, so we can, so that people can read up on it and maybe also get some instructions how things work. Over the last weeks and months, we added also some more supporting actions here. So the automated checks that have become a lot better to avoid common formatting mistakes. I remember in the November last year, maybe we had some mix-up in the French translation, and then after that added some automated tests, so that should not happen again. We are also gradually improving the documentation. We remind the language maintainers when a new release is close. Remember, every 3 months there's a feature release of Keycloak, and at that point in time, all the languages need to be reviewed. And we also add some simplifications for example, right-to-left email templates. So translators really focus on the text, where Keycloak will figure out automatically if it's an right-to-left language, and will then format the language and the email templates accordingly. That's some of the supporting actions we did, and if you're interested in those in the coding part, please give me a note and we will dive into that more. Again, before we go there, probably now is a good time to do a live demo. So this is Weblate. I already logged in. I usually log in using my GitHub credentials here, or my GitHub OpenID Connect profile. And when I do this, I then see the components. I see the languages, and I'm a native German, so I'm mostly interested in German, maybe if there are new suggestions here. And I see German overall is translated to and approved by 53%. And when I then go to German in a bit more detail, I see all the account UI is translated, all the backend error messages, all the ename templates, they're all fine. What's then missing is the admin UI. The admin UI is only translated to like 38%, but all the others are green. They have green check marks. So if you're using Keycloak and you want to go for a German translation, you will see here that it's really prepared well. And thanks for Robin Mese, who is helping here, who is a second language maintainer here, who keeps that up to date, reviews suggestions from the community, and also contributes translations. He was a great help in setting this all up. All right, so, and as a language maintainer, I also get here, I can now start translating all the untranslated bits if I choose to. Or I could look at this. So let's look at this, the unfinished translations. So it tells me here, specify all policies that must be applied to the permission. That's kind of strange that it has 2 times permission here. Then I can put in a German translation here. Single logout service URL. That's probably the same in German. So let's do some proper translation here. Let's I'll try to do a proper German translation here. So it will help me if I do probably 2 spaces, it will highlight it in red. If I would have had placeholders here, it will highlight to me that I missed to use a placeholder in a proper way. I can now say save and continue, and then it's being saved, and then Robin Mese will get a review request, so he can review it and approve my translation to be proper German. Again, we also have the flow of suggestions. So basically, let's start with translations first. Everybody can do translations. Who wants to do translations? You register as a user, go there, translate. You don't need to have any additional permissions. Just go there and translate. We ask you to be a native speaker, or at least reasonably good language skills to. But anyway, I think that's a given thing. We have 5 suggestions for the German translation. So JB Man, I'm not sure what's his, Johannes Bergmann contributed an update for a change. So he did some proper naming here, and I can now, as a language maintainer, accept this translation here. I can even say accept and approve because it really looks good. I approve it and that's now accepted. So this is in there. This translation also looks good. And this translation also looks good. Great job. All right, and what I can then do, what Keycloak will, sorry, what Weblate will then do, it will create a pull request. I think this pull request already exists. Keycloak, GitHub, Keycloak, this one. So I go to the Keycloak repository. It's a bit slow. Let's see. I'm probably, that's the thing when you do demos, right? So there's already a pull request with hosted Weblate. Weblate created it earlier, and at the moment it has 2 commits for Japanese and Portuguese Brazil. And usually every 24 hours, Weblate will update this pull request with the latest translation that came in through Weblate. And I will now go to my admin settings, some better demo. There are like 141 pending changes, so people have been doing a lot of translation today. I commit those changes and now bundling these translations and updating the pull request, and we now have 4 outgoing pull commits here. So what you will see here, I committed those, I pushed them out. I forgot about this one first. Let's give it another second to push out these changes. And once these changes are pushed out, we will see them in the GitHub pull request. Come on, spinning wheel still, but there we go. And now we have here German and some French as well. So when I go into German, I see now the changes that came here from Johannes Bergmann. I approved those and now they appear here in here. So these changes are from Johannes Bergmann, this changes from me, and we're now ready to go. Also there, the French translation has been updated. So we see here, yeah, some updates to French. So it's getting more and more complete, which is great to see. Right. And as you see, all the translations that you do, those translations will be attributed to your GitHub profile, and count towards your contributions to Keycloak. Right, so did I forget anything? No, I think that's it. So let's go to the finalizing slide here. Translating Keycloak, as I said, is a collaborative effort. So it's all about making translations shine for users, and by having Weblate here as a tool and some additional automated check in Keycloak, we will hopefully make this experience better for users of Keycloak step by step. It should also make life simpler for translators because they don't need to get into GitHub and pull requests so much. And we have less day-to-day work for maintainers because all the pull requests that Weblate creates are then at least syntactically correct. So you can't like delete a line when you didn't want to delete a line. You have the line breaks in the right places. You have the right format of the Java message format that we're using for the translation file. All this repetitive tasks that would also otherwise be checked by a maintainer, they are now automated. And we also know the status of our translations, so I could basically go here and see in the languages, as I said earlier, how much is translated. If I go for a specific language, for example, Spanish, I think Spanish, Javier is here doing a great job. It's all green, so I know I can use all of that. And if I go to GitHub and the translations file, we actually prepared a matrix here. Yeah, come on, don't let me hang here. Too much streaming on this side, it appears. Maybe I should try to close some of the other tabs. Come on. Yeah, it seems I need to wait for a bit longer for GitHub now. That's always the fun with demos. All right. So let's see. Yeah, final slide I was saying. Making translations shine for users. And we know the status of our translations. So that's me. I'm Alexander. Reach out to me on my Red Hat email address or on social media. And we now have a lot of time for questions. Let's see who comes. We haven't yet seen any questions in the chat, but let's see. Maybe Sebastian has some questions for us.
No.
Hi, Sebastian, welcome back.
No. Thank you. I was just thinking about this that templates or this translations get or need to be updated every time someone introduces a key somewhere. So this is really great to have this back. And the poor guy that is only probably speaking one native language does not need to provide all these translations whenever there's a new button or a new label somewhere. Yeah, great.
Yeah. I think I can go probably to some checks. So if I would go for Japanese and checks, I might see here some checks like with a question mark, but there might be other checks telling us, yeah, okay, full stops and whatnot. Maybe some other checks. I think it should turn up here eventually. Yeah, give me a minute. Let's see, maybe Catalan.
So,
yeah, go ahead.
Maybe we need to collect some investment in bandwidth around Germany.
Yeah, it's probably only GitHub that's a bit slow. All the others were probably fine.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe Italian. Oh, there are two checks here. Yeah, anyway, so there we are. Go ahead with questions.
Another question would be, what would be the perfect situation for the Keycloak project in regards to translations? So maybe there's one native speaking guy per language that really feels responsible and is going through the translations from time to time. I don't know. Can you say something in this regard?
Yeah, for Weblate we said we want to have 2 native speakers for any language to be added to Weblate. So we would, yeah, well, in the past we had pull requests, and pull requests are still possible. You can still, as of today, do pull requests to do changes. But whenever there's a pull request coming up for a language, we ask you to bring a second native speaker to review it. And we don't have like a fixed language maintainer in the seat who will do all the reviews, or a pool of people who do the reviews. So it's a bit difficult. But that's, we said when we go to Weblate, we want to have at least 2 people who share the burden of reviewing translations from the community. And with those 2 people, I think with Portuguese we now have 3. We give it a try. Let's see how good it is. And so I think if you're starting as a new language maintainer, you might have some work, maybe you taking over an existing translations, and then it would be good to actually review it, as you just said. With Weblate, you can choose how much you want to translate yourself, but maybe encourage others to do the translation, and you may be doing then more of the review part, or helping with the glossary and making sure that the same term is translated in all the other places. So if you, as a single language maintainer, or even if you're 2 people, try to do all the translations in all the places, you might just burn out too fast. Yeah. Keeping up with the translations of others might be the thing to do. And Keycloak Weblate will do the notifications if there maybe an original text has changed, and that you can catch up on any changes in the original text.
Yeah, interesting. So it would probably not be sustainable if you just invest money and have everything translated as is, and as soon as things are changing, and things are always changing, you would not have anyone responsible and not keep it in sync, keep it nice for everyone. So this maintainer thing is something to to actually be sustainable in regards to translations, right?
Yeah, that's right. So as a paid translation or somebody who does a translation, a one-off translation, is a good start and would help a lot. But then, yeah, keeping it up to date. Otherwise, there might some English words be popping up in different places, which would be a bit surprising, right?
Yeah. Any other wishes? Any changes in that area when it comes to translation? So we have this new UIs for a couple of days. So the account UI, the admin UI, another version of it. So things are getting easier, or doesn't change anything?
I think for the login UI, we have the same translation files. I think that didn't change so much, so we were able to build on the previous texts. The account and the admin UI, I think they basically started more or less from scratch, which put a big burden on the community, I'd say. Yeah, we need to figure out how fast they can be translated and how important people think the admin UI, for example, is. I'm not sure. You've been working with Keycloak quite a bit. So what is your take on what is then usually the first translated UI?
Well, that totally depends. So depending on customers, depending on their use cases. But I never came across to this this world company that needs a translation.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, let's see. So, but if somebody is out there who has a translation and they want to contribute it as a pull request, we're very open to those. To give either a head start for one of these languages, or maybe an update to the existing languages. Yeah, all of that would be helpful. We now recently had some people from Romania joining here, and they had the challenge, or they still have the challenge, that when they translate a text, they don't know the context in which this text has been presented. We have the same with people from, well, we have some open questions from Italy, for example. We have this comment here stating, well, there's a word just in, and the key is in resource. So the key that we have is probably the only context that you have when you're there as a translator, but you don't really know on which screen it happens. So what we could do eventually, we could add screenshots. So Weblate has a mechanism of doing an optical character recognition on screenshots and then assign them to the right strings, which is, I think, awesome, but maybe work only 90%, but still it might be a help. At least for the longer strings, it would work. And at least with one other piece, I'm now reconsidering maybe changing some of the keys to have a better context where they're being used. And once we have a better name to the key, we might also provide a better translation afterwards.
Yeah, that's tough if you just look at this Weblate front end. So you basically don't have any idea what would be the result then. Yeah. So yeah, good hint. Maybe something to think about and provide some help here. And keys that are reused on several places are even giving translators hard times, right? So you need to find something that fits all these different areas.
Yeah, or maybe split the key, right? That's the alternative. We're still at the early stages, I would say, but we're getting better with every term being translated. And I think upcoming next would be, well, we still have some backend messages that haven't been like externalized to strings or to keys. So even if you translate all the front end at the moment, you might then come across an error message in your real production environment that just shows in English and will not be so very helpful to your users. I think the validation messages of the are getting better. The validation messages of the user profile bits, they're getting better. But let's see. So yeah, if you're a coder and want to explore that a bit more, maybe that's an area. Also, maybe people want to share their experience after this call with some more details on what they saw and where they maybe struggled. Yeah. Okay. So any more questions? We don't have any questions from the audience, so we might even close earlier today. So please keep questions coming that you have. Otherwise, we might just close the call earlier today.
I have no more questions personally, and thanks for giving me something to think about, like this context thing.
Yeah. All right. So let's not drag it on anymore. Thanks for joining today. Thanks for Sebastian to be on the call, being a partner in crime, and discussing this here on the call. Thanks a lot, and see you around. Bye.
See you around.